Ready now. Uncensored. Starring Sean Collins. Please welcome Sean Collins.
Hey everyone. Hey. All right, let's get into it. I date women. I find more and more women that I date as I've gotten older have had experiences with other women, but when you ask them about it, when you question them about it, they describe the situation like it happened accidentally. And that really confuses me as a man, because it's always a long-winded story, right? I'll say, you ever been with another woman? It's always, well, once. The men were fishing. It was foggy that day. I was with Jane. We're drinking red wine at the cottage. She found a twister game. We pulled it out. We played. She got an odd spin. We bumped breasts. We giggled. We fondled each other's breasts. And we went down on one another. And it was beautiful, but we're not lesbians. I have yet to run into a buddy with that kind of story. Watching the game with Dave. It's a little boring and in between periods, so I grabbed his bag. Well, we giggled, and the next thing you know, his dick was in my mouth, you know? I'm not saying we're gay, but we're going fishing next week. I don't know. Honestly, I used to think you'd date a woman long enough, you get to know her, you could make love to her without a condom, and that would be the best sex you could ever have. But it's impossible to enjoy sex without a condom because you women yell at us at the point of climax, and that's probably the one time you should shut up for a second, right? But it's always the same, you know? You're always working it, you know, and it's like, oh, baby, it's time. Not inside me, okay, not on my belly. Jesus, how much time do you think I have here? All right, I'll go out in the balcony then. How's this? Sorry about your barbecue. I can't believe there's 8 Spanish people who can't speak a word of English at the front row of the comedy. Like, what were you thinking? Oh, that's excellent. Right on. Well, later we're going to have a bullfight. Anyway. We got couples here? You a couple? Yeah, do you speak English? Do you think he's honest? Sure. Yeah. Okay, I want you to just answer yes or no to these. I think it's almost impossible to be honest in a relationship with a woman, and I'm going to test this theory out with you. I'm sorry that on national TV you're going to fail, but here we go. Just answer yes or no, sir. Do you love her? Yes. Is her happiness important to you? Yes. Are you an honest man? Yes. Would you have a threesome with her and another woman if it made her happy? There, try and answer that question. You said yes? Oh yeah, right on. See? Look at, she just hit him too. But you just do it for her happiness. That's the only reason, right? Because he's an honest man. So you'd have a threesome with her and another man if it made her happy? No. Evidently it's not her happiness we're talking about, is it? I hate to say it, it comes down to simple truth. Guys don't want to have a threesome with another guy. What if the other guy's dick is way bigger than yours? What are you going to do then? Get into it, guys. We're going to have a good time, but I'm this twisted all night. Hey, look at you. How you doing, man? You're a scary-looking man. Look at all the tattoos and the muscle shirt on. Is this your girl? Yeah, I'm actually afraid to talk to you right now, but I've begun now, so I have to follow through with it, all right? When did you get out? What was that? August? Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. I'm going to get her this time. Is that all right? All right. You're making love to your man. It's incredible. He's hitting all the spots. You can feel the orgasm building from your feet. Your legs are starting to shake. You're about 30 seconds from it, but what your man hasn't realized is he's moved you up on the bed and your head's been pinging off the headboard for about the last 30 seconds. You can feel a welt developing and you're pretty sure to have this orgasm you'll have a concussion. What would you do? Would you keep going? Why not? You'd take one for the team. That's excellent. You look like a smart girl, though. You'd probably come back the next night with a helmet on, wouldn't you? And look, we got some young lads in the front row. That's excellent. How old are you, son? 17. Do you speak English well? No? I should move on. Do any of you guys? Why, may I ask, when they said, come to a comedy show taping, did you guys all think, well, okay. It's air conditioned. Do you guys speak English better? You? How old are you?
21.
21. How much do you think you know about women at the age of 21?
Nothing.
Well, we're going to prove that point right now, all right? Let's say you're the last man on earth, all right? You're treading water in the ocean. You're about to die. You're really tired. You see an island really close, and on that island are 15 of the ugliest women you've ever seen. All of them overweight, naked, no teeth. So that's an option, right? You could swim to that one easily, but there's another island 5 times the swim. And on that island are 15 of the most beautiful Playboy bunnies you've ever seen. All of them naked, and they're calling to you, but somewhere on the way to that island is a great white shark. Which island would you swim to spend eternity?
I'd go for gold.
You go to the Playboy Island? See, that's a very horny, 21-year-old think with your dick answer, right? Because everyone over 30 here has seen Jaws. You use this head, not this one. Swim to the ugly island, get those women to make you a boat and sail over, man. And to back, you go to back, to sail over. Olé! Hey, you got that one, eh? Good. You wait all your life to get this TV show and they let in an audience that doesn't speak your language. And then you sit in the front row. That's good. I do date women. I don't have any kids, though. I've been lucky. I don't like children, I'll be honest with you. Not the little wee ones, they fall over. That makes me laugh. But it's these teenage mutant trolls that we have running around the cities with their big pants on and their hats on sideways. Hey, what up? Shut up, man. I couldn't have worn my hat on sideways when I was a kid because that's when my father would have taken over the disciplining, and that was never good, you know. Son, your hat's on sideways. No, Dad, this is cool. Son, either turn your hat around to the front or I'm going to turn your head around to the side. I don't care, I'm going to line it up. I looked after this 8-year-old kid, and I'll tell you, I felt so old because I asked him a simple question. His birthday was coming up, right? And I said, what are you hoping for your birthday? And he said, a Sony PlayStation 2 and Tekken 3. And I didn't know what that was, right? So I said to him, well, what is that? And he went, duh. And now I didn't care what the game was. I just wanted to kick this little kid in the head, right? But I said to him, you know, it's this video, he said, it's this video game where you jump to different levels, you can freeze people, you can change characters, and blood drips on the ground. Went on for 20 minutes on how cool this game was, then peed his pants. That's how excited he got just telling me about the game. And this is when I felt old. He said, do you remember what you got for your birthday when you were 8? Do you know how hard it is to make kerplunk sound that excited? It's a simple thing, you know, is that kids nowadays, they don't get hit, and they know it. Have you ever been beaten by your parents? No, exactly, because they know the law and you know the law, and that's crazy, right? Because there were no laws to protect us from our parents when we were growing up. They know the law and you know the law, and that's crazy, right? Because there were no laws to protect us from our parents when we were growing up. None whatsoever. My mom had a spatula. She didn't bake fuck all with this thing, all right? My friends would come over and we'd be playing. We'd get carried away. We were just kids, right? And she'd take the spatula out and just look at me. My friends didn't know. They'd get excited. They'd be like, oh, yeah. Is your mom going to bake a cake? You guys need to go home now. Our parents used to whoop our ass with toys. Remember Hot Wheels tracks? How wrong it is for a parent to beat your child with something Santa brought them. And I remember Tycho came out with the glow-in-the-dark track. You remember that? That was for nighttime beatings. That was the only reason. I left mine in the box till March. Mom was like, aren't you going to open your Christmas gift? I was like, that's for you. Why didn't you get me an easy bake oven and a fake spatula, you twisted woman? We have big hockey fans here? The rest of you, hockey. I know the Spanish team always gives Canada a run for its money, I'll tell you. We won Olympic gold, both the women and the men this year. That was absolutely amazing to me. You know, when the Americans and everyone else, like in Europe and all those teams win it, I really don't think it means as much to them as us, because we got nothing else. We don't have any. Canada is hockey. There's nothing else to it. I mean, our military. Okay. I was over in Europe when Bush announced that Canada was going to join the war effort, and I want you to know that there is no country afraid of attacking another country for fear that Canada will help that country, all right? We have the most pathetic military. I did the military games in the States, stealth bombers, incredible like laser sighting stuff and everything, and then I did the military games in Canada. 5 guys from each base loaded a cannon and fired it, and everyone cheered. Because we were really fast with cannons. Can you imagine a nuclear sub off the coast of Nova Scotia just looking at us for a second, the guy right up on the sub just going, Captain, there's a cannonball coming at us. No, that's going to scratch the paint, I'm pretty sure. And I did the Fleet Club in Halifax, which is our big base there, our Navy base. Everyone was at the show, drunk. 10 at night. The guy at the gate that this is our military that I checked in with. You drive up to the gate, you know, a checkpoint, and you tell him I'm doing a show, and I went in, was at the show, drunk. And I said to him, I said, weren't you working the gate? He goes, yeah. But I put a note up that says there's a comedy show on. So if you're going to attack, come back a little later. Swear to God, this is what this guy did. Drunk out of their wits, everyone by 10 at night. And it dawned on me at that point, can you imagine if we ever get attacked at 1 a.m.? Just our military, just the look on their face, what, they're attacking? Well, it's last call. Oh, shit, they can have Quebec. Those pricks want to leave anyway. Aren't you tired of Quebec? Yeah. It's insane. Are there French here? You're like, are you French, sir? You're from Quebec, then? What? Oh, you come from France. Right on. Well, that's really going to help out the joke, isn't it? It's funny that most of the countries don't like France over there, right? And isn't it amazing? It's true. You have to admit the British don't like you guys at all, and you can't stand the British either, am I right? Exactly. It's amazing that we all colonized in Canada. We're your children, and we came over here, and a small group of French settled in an area, and we hate them too. Doesn't matter where you guys go. I'm so tired of it. We want to leave, we want to leave, we want to leave. Ice storm, we need your help. Shut up. I often wonder if they leave what they're going to call their hockey team. Just have a jersey with cheese, French fries, and gravy on it. The Montreal Poutines take the ice. Getting back to the hockey story, I try to explain this to people. Like 4 years ago, before we won it this year, remember the Olympics when we got beat and it destroyed the country? Like everybody was just, our hearts were taken from it. We had a shootout with the Czech Republic. Do you guys remember this at all, or am I just, yeah? Let me explain something about a person's dream. When you do a show, you hope that people get into it. But way to stare at me, and hopefully I'll cry and never do this again. Oh my God. All right, here we go. 4 years ago, we took the Czech Republic on. It came to a shootout, which a shootout is when the game is tied, for those of you who don't know. And if you don't know and you're Canadian, you're an idiot. But a shootout is at the end of the game when it's tied. 5 shooters from each team shoot. They were up 1-0 on us. They scored. But we were okay because we had Wayne Gretzky on the bench. You remember what I'm talking about, all right? And everybody, remember you were sitting watching it going, it's okay because Wayne's going to come out and he's going to score, right? Dominic Hasek, too bad, right? Try saving it with your left testicle like you usually do. Not going to happen. And then the look, remember the look when Raymond Bourque jumped over the boards to take the last shot? I remember my friends, like we were all half drunk, and I remember my buddy looking at me going, well, that's not Raymond Bourque, is it? And I said, no, he's just going to clear the snow for Gretzky. And he took the shot, fell on his head, missed, we lost, everybody cried, my grandmother cried, it was terrible. And I remember thinking that wouldn't have happened in 1972, back when we won it with Paul Henderson scoring the goal. That was a magical moment. I was 6 years old and we were taken out of school to watch that. 6 years old, everybody had to go to the gym and watch it on the little television. So we won, one poor retarded kid from Spain had to be the antenna. Someone will translate that to you. It's all right. '72, we were losing. When they flew out to Vancouver, we had booed the Canadian national hockey team. It was one of the worst moments in Canadian hockey, right? They went over to Russia. We had never played them that much before, and they went over to Russia and started to play, and we lost another game, and people were panicked because we were going to lose our national sport, and it was basically communism against democracy back then. And it wasn't until Game 6. Everybody thinks it was the Paul Henderson goal that made it, but it was Game 6, not Game 7, that turned it around for Canada. Because they had a player named Harlamov, a Russian player, who was scoring close to 2 goals a game on average. He was faster. Just Canada couldn't keep up with him. Big Phil Esposito eating pizza between periods. He couldn't catch him, right? It wasn't until we were down 2-0 at the start of the second period when the Canadian coach finally got Canadian. He looked at Bobby Clark sitting on the bench with one tooth. That Harlamov sure can skate and score, eh? Yes. Why don't you break his ankle? It's about time you put in that play. And nobody had ever seen this in international hockey before, but Bobby Clark went over the boards, skated to take the face-off, right? Went up. Harlamov was already there like this. Standing there like this. All right, ready. Clark was like, all right. They dropped the puck. The puck went the other way. Harlamov skated the other way. Clark just skated after him, deliberately skated after him. slashed him in the ankle, broke his ankle in 3 places. Never skated again, had difficulty walking without a cane till he died in 1980. Bobby Clark got 2 minutes for slashing. Got MVP of the game. Now that's Canadian hockey for you. Got MVP of the game. Now that's Canadian hockey for you. The Americans still show this commercial down in the States. I don't know if you remember it. It showed depicted Canadians going up north to play boot hockey, which we've all played on the open lake, right? And these 10 geeks go up and they're hiked north to find ice because it's difficult to find ice here, right? You have to really go up north to catch it. They just depict us like we're complete morons down there, right? So they get so far up north that during the game, I don't know if you remember it, the guy skates over the camera and goes, "This is our arena, no referee." Do you remember that? And then a wolf takes the boot, which they're using for the goal, off the ice and runs away with it, and they say that's Canadian hockey. And I was like, oh my God. Do you think 10 Canadians would hike that far north and only bring Coors Light? The Americans didn't understand the commercial, so they had a blue streak come out of the wolf's ass, and that's into hockey. It's tough for us to compete with the States. We don't do much better than them. They have a larger population to pull from. I went down when I was 18 years old to Fort Lauderdale on spring break. I don't know if anybody's done that, but we went down there. Me and my 3 buddies, Haas, Tank, and Bear. Haas was 375 pounds, Tank was 350, and Bear was 3 1/4. These are big drinking buddies of mine, right? We drove down with $400 cash between the 4 of us for 10 days. That was all the OSAP money we had left, right? Got down there, ran out of money, ran out of gas outside the Miami Arena. I started to cry. Then I looked up and I saw a sign. It said, "University teams of 4 welcome, $5,000 grand prize." We figured we'd enter. I'm not exactly with the most athletic dudes on the planet, but what the hell, we were tired. Went in, entered, didn't even know what the event was. Typical Canadian, we'll go into it, right? Walked up to the judge and said, "Excuse me, what's the event? Is it running, long jump, high jump, decathlon, pole vault?" The guy stops me and goes, No, son. This is a drinking game." That's when I got cocky as a Canadian, right? I said, "Well, I'm Sean. This is Haas, Tank, and Bear. We're the only Canadians here. You want to give us the check now? Because we're going to embarrass you as a nation, right?" They had to run the event. We had to swim to the end of this big pool, and there was like thousands of people watching. Drink a pitcher of beer, swim back, and tag your buddy. If you won 4 heats, you won $5,000. I remember we were discussing, Big Haas was here, and he's a mountain of a man. Tank and Bear, and we're going, "Well, who should go first?" And I said, "Well, I'm the fastest swimmer." And Haas goes, "Well, I'm thirsty." "Well, you go right ahead then, big fella." He gets up on the blocks, and I couldn't figure out why all the Americans were laughing at him, right? But he's standing up on the blocks, and he didn't have a bathing suit. He had his cut-off shorts on. And God bless him, he tried to patch them, but his left testicle was hanging down below his short line, and he didn't even care. He was tucking it back up, and it would drop out. Didn't care at all, because he was thirsty. So they're just looking at him all weird. All the Americans were wearing Speedo bathing suits. You know what? There's still middle-aged men in this room that probably wear Speedos, and none of your family has told you this, but don't. You might as well just spray paint your bag. It's the same thing at this point. They get up on the blocks, shoot the gun off. The Americans could swim. I watched them dive in. Haas couldn't, which I forgot. He just fell in, right? And he was mad because his smoke went out. So I tell him to go. He starts dog paddling. Have you ever seen a 375-pound man dog paddle? Not the fastest swimmer you'll ever see, right? The Americans are way ahead. I start to cry. He's chugging along like this. The guy from UCLA got to the end first. I'll never forget this. Picks up his pitcher of beer. And I think we're getting killed, right? Because Haas is still a half a link behind. Picks up his pitcher of beer and goes, and then sits it down and rests, because that was a really big sip for him, right? And the other two Americans do the same. They take a little sip and then they sit it down and rest. And I'm looking at this and I'm watching Haas, and he's starting to get mad now, right? And I'm looking at this and I'm watching at Haas, and fuck, we got a chance. Go, buddy! The look on their face, big farmer Haas, got to the end of the pool, picked up his pitcher of beer, looked over at them and went, we won the first heat by 7 minutes and 34 seconds. The funny thing about Canadians is we will interrupt because we think if we're polite, we can interrupt anyone, right? So they were having a meeting, the judges, to decide how they were going to make it more difficult for us because we won by 7 minutes, and that's just impossible to beat, right? So they're meeting on this. Big Haas, his cut-off testicle shorts, walks up, and actually the head judge is standing there, walks up and moves them and goes, excuse me, and they all look at him like, what? And he's like, yeah, sorry to bother you. Could you put a pitcher halfway down? I get thirsty when I'm swimming. Just take the check and go away. I was like, I told you. We got invited to so many parties. We had $5,000 back then. That was amazing. We got invited to all these sorority parties. And Haas was a god. Everybody who saw it, I couldn't believe it. Like a big man, hairy. No, and never been laid. And now all these women are coming up to him, and he's just loving it. He had sex twice at this party, 2 different girls. And then he comes out, and he's all Mac Daddy, standing there like this. And I'm laughing. And then I'm sitting on the couch having a beer. I got a little buzz on. And this beautiful, beautiful woman walks in. I mean, everybody here would turn their head. Walks by every good-looking man in the party, all these American guys pushing out their chest, and walks up to Haas. And I'm sitting there going, there's no way. She goes up to him. This is what she said, the first words out of her mouth. You're that fast dog paddler from Canada. He goes, yeah, I'm the quickest up there. Now, this is when I fell out of my chair. She goes, how did you go so fast? Men will lie when it comes to beautiful women. He looks her straight in the eye and he goes, well, a lot of people thought that hole in my shorts wasn't on purpose, but the hole allowed my testicles to act like a propeller when I was swimming. Rye is very Canadian. There's nothing good about rye. Everyone here has had a bad rye experience. You ever been drunk on the rye? Yeah, it's not rye, it's on the rye. You have to say it like that. It's the worst drink going. It's cheap whiskey, Canadian Club. And I challenge any man here who denies that and says rye's a great drink. Go home tonight, sit in your basement, drink a whole bottle of Canadian Club, leave your house and try not to fight. You won't get 5 feet. Hey! You better put my garbage cans down, you and your fancy truck. I've had 3 rye experiences where I was loaded, and I've always had the same thought before I pass out. Well, what's with all these cops? I know I'm a little bit more hardcore than most, and I just noticed there's a, what are you, 7? I actually work part-time with social services, so if your parents could wait after the show. God. I used to have a drug problem. I used to do more of pretty much everything at a time, but I'm clean and sober now. I have some odd thoughts. First of all, I had a midget drug dealer for a while in amongst my... Yeah, don't ever do that, because eventually you're just going to kick him and take all his shit. Yeah, don't ever do that, because eventually you're just going to kick him and take all his shit. Cocaine is another big problem amongst comics and actors and stuff like that. I don't do it, but I did for a while, got out of it. I was saying it's tough to get out of, you know, but I was thinking, can you imagine right now being an American coke addict, trying to kick the habit and getting a white envelope full of white powder in the mail? Could you imagine the look on a coke addict just looking at it? Shit, they're mailing it to me now? Your buddy comes in, it's anthrax, throw it out. Hold on a second. And that's when you get the moron friend over to do the line, right? You're like, come on, Jimmy, go ahead. Is he high? Well, his eyes are bleeding. That can't be good. And you know what? Everybody does have a moron friend. And if you're sitting there going, well, I don't, maybe you should think about that for a second. We were going up ice fishing. Haas happens to be my moron friend. Ice fishing is something else that's very Canadian. You try to explain that to people in Europe, and they just don't understand, right? You're like, well, we go fishing when there's ice. And they're like, how? Well, we auger a big hole in the ice, and then we get into a hut, and we drink. We had to go up ice fishing, and the only one who could go get the marijuana, the pot, was Haas. So we sent him to get an ounce of pot. Bad move, right? He comes back, and nobody thinks to question him. He just gets in the car, and we drive up to Espanola to go ice fishing. 4 of us, minus 60, which as Canadians, we all know, minus 60. You tell that to people outside, they're like, minus 60? Yeah, minus 60, without the wind chill. So we're sitting in this hut. We got our beer, we put in our tip-ups, and I look at Moron, and I, like, well, okay, get the pot. And he goes, well, he didn't have any pot. Well, what'd you get, Moron? Swear to God, I'll explain this after. He goes, well, I got a good deal and picked up 20 hits of ecstasy. Okay, ecstasy makes you horny. I'm ice fishing with 3 of my buddies in a hut. Some young girl came up to me and said, ecstasy, that's just like acid, right? No. I've never taken acid and wanted to have sex. Dropped acid, looked across the room and thought, well, once that big spider's done eating my mom, I'm going to fuck the hell out of it. We took it because we were all drug addicts, and just so you know, if you do that, you should let the little guy know that he's going to have to wear the dress. I don't know. Everybody's got sort of homophobic moments. I mean, now they're allowing gay people to get married. It was on the front page of every paper, and it just kills me that, like, you know what, it's way past its time. Like, who cares? Let them get married. They're in love. They have similar relationships. I don't understand what the big deal was about it. But I've had homophobic experiences in my life. I'll admit it. You know, you'd be crazy not to. I worked out at the Y. Yeah, the gay gym down the street. I went in the sauna afterwards, and I'm sitting in the sauna reading a paper, and this gay guy floats in. Oh, shut up, they float. So he sits down beside me. I'm reading the paper, and he's sitting right beside me, and I'm a little nervous, right? So I'm clenching the paper. I'm getting right into the article now, letting them know that it's sports I'm reading. He reaches over and puts his hand on my thigh underneath the towel. Oh my God, I was just, what a moment. If I had a camera, I was like. And all my friends were like, did you kick his ass? No, because you don't want to fight a naked gay guy. I don't care how good a fighter you are, you're going to touch a ball or a dick or something, right? And what if he wins? What if he's like a ninja queer? You're lying there beat up in a towel with blood coming out of you. He's like, nice try, hetero boy. I did the Pan Am Games, and I had 2 drugs like you wouldn't believe. And I know a lot of you are thinking, please don't turn off because I say that I did drugs or whatever. I'm not telling or advocating them. I got out of it, like I did. It is a crutch. It's because your reality sucks. And that's what it comes down to when you're doing it all the time. And I did it all the time. So at the point I was, I had 2 days off, the Sunday and Monday. And 4 Italian guys came up to me after they saw my show and said, well, you're really funny. I said, thanks. And he goes, do you want to come up to my cottage and perform for me and 3 of my buddies? And I said, no. And he says, why? And I said, because that's weird. And then he said, I'll give you $1,000. I said, okay. So I went up to this cottage, believe it or not. I'm standing in the cottage beside a bearskin rug. He's standing there, the fireplace, and 4 guys on the couch, no microphone. I'm like, it's good to be here at Jimmy's. I don't know. So it goes really well. And then 1 in the morning it rolls around, and this little Italian dude comes up to me and goes, hey. I said, hey. He goes, you want to do some acid? I said, yeah. I'm in the wilderness with 4 Italians I don't know, and you don't want to be the only one not to do acid at an acid party, right? You also don't want to be the only one to do acid with 4 Italians in the middle of nowhere at a cottage, which is what happened. I put the acid on my tongue, and the Italians go, all right, well, we're going to go to bed. You ever try to sleep on LSD? Like, it's not like weed. Weed, you're high for 45 minutes. Acid's a 13-hour commitment, right? Like, you can't sleep at all, right? So I'm sitting on the couch just freaking out because it was good acid, too. I'm alone, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just freaking out. 3 in the morning, and I have to take a pee. Now, to a normal person not on LSD, that's easy, right? But when you're on acid, this is what went through my head. I have to pee, but the pee, if I go in the washroom, the dribbling sound will wake up the other cottagers. So I should go outside. Very dark at cottages, as we know, right? Walked outside, took 7 steps outside, turned around, couldn't see the cottage, now I'm lost. I'm on acid in the middle of the wilderness, so I did what anyone else would do. I circled the cottage for about 3 hours looking for it. And then I built a lean-to against a tree because I was going to have to get up early to collect berries. Got woken up at 6 in the morning. The door to the cottage hit me in the foot. I'm still high, and I look up at this guy, and thank God you found me. You want some breakfast, man? I go back in and sit down on the couch. Now, they're having 100 people up, and my ride doesn't come to get me to bring me back into town till 6. I am right in the midst of this acid buzz like you would not believe. So I'm holding on to the couch. I got dark glasses on, and I did what most Canadians do when we panic. Started drinking. Started drinking beer like you would not believe. Drank a dozen, but my thought process is, I don't know any of these people, so I'll put the empties around me in a semicircle, so if anyone has to talk to me, they'll have to cross the wall of beer. Drank 12 beers, okay? It was 6 in the morning when I started, which scared a lot of the cottagers that I cranked out 12 beers. Looked at my watch, figured it's about noon, right? 6:30. drank 12 beers in 30 minutes. Now I'm wasted. I'm sitting there on the couch just trying to hold on. Now all these people are coming up that I don't know, walking in, looking at me and going, hello, and I'm like, hey. It's got a little shake to me. This is when it gets weird. And I'm like, hey. It's got a little shake to me. This is when it gets weird. An activity lady walks in. Comes in through the door. Activity ladies are women that don't drink, smoke drugs, and think that drunk people need an activity to keep them going. Just drink and leave us alone. She comes in and goes, who wants to play Pictionary? Nobody wants to play that game. You take it out, I'll stab you in the eye with a little pencil and I'll time your death. Then I'll draw it. That'll be funny. What's that, a rhino? No, it's Julie. I stabbed her in the eye. She's in the kitchen. And now there's like 50 people in the cottage and this guy walks in. Walks by everyone that looks normal and walks up to me. Would you bug a guy sitting in dark glasses inside a cottage with 12 empty beers around him holding on to a couch? You give him a little distance. Walks up to me and he goes, hey. I said, hey. He goes, you want to go water skiing? I drank all these. He goes, come on. I said, no, man, I've never water skied and I'm not doing it. He goes, come on. I said, no. And then he said something that gets every Canadian man just to be stupid, you know. He goes, what are you, a pussy? You better start that boat up. My turn to go skiing. I get up, I walk out of the cottage, walk down to the dock. Takes me about 30 minutes because I had to sit on every step for a minute and look at the pretty butterfly. I got down to the dock. Now I am wrecked. The guy, this is how high I was. I'm standing on the dock like this. And the guy throws a life jacket at me and it hits me in the head and falls to the ground. And I actually looked at him and I said, hey, man, there's no reason to start throwing shit all over the place. He goes, no, put it on. All right, so I put it on. And when you're that wasted, right, you have not a clue what you're doing. So, but you're confident. So I put it on, he hit his back to me, and I went, all right, I'm ready. And he looks at me and goes, Jesus. And I'm like, what? So he comes over and unzips it and starts dressing me like I'm a 2-year-old getting into a skidoo suit. You know, you got to hold their arms and they wiggle. And I know it looked weird because I heard the neighbors up at the other cottage go, hey, I think the retarded man's going to try it. I'm not retarded, I'm a drug addict. I get in the water. Now I'm bouncing up and down and I'm laughing, right? I'm kicking my skis. It doesn't even dawn on me what's about to happen, right? Never water skied before. I'm just like, hey, this is kind of cool. Look at my long feet. The guy in the dock's trying to help me out. He goes, okay, Sean, the key is the guy in the back of the boat. He's your eyes. He's your savior. He'll warn you if you're going to hit a rock. That I heard. They gunned the boat, right? And I got up. I was absolutely terrible. My legs were apart. A lot of guys get up there on their one ski, but I was like this, trying to hold on, really wasted. And I remember thinking, maybe it's because I was really drunk or high. Whatever happens, don't let go of this rope. That's when we went on what's called a whip. You guys know what that is? A turn? Yeah, I didn't know. I just knew I was ahead of the boat and couldn't figure that out at all. How the hell am I pulling you? And that's when I lost my left ski, but I didn't let go of the rope, though. I skied on my right ski and my left testicle for about 500 yards. And then I heard the word that'll haunt me forever. Rock! Hit the rock with my right ski, broke it in two, didn't let go of the rope though, skipped across the water 6 times. And I remember thinking, as I was being pulled face first through the water, the only thing that goes through your mind when you're drunk You bastards aren't leaving me out in the middle of this lake.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Collins.